Welcome back to another edition of Center Court. I'm your host, Alex Meacham. Now this episode, we have two guests, Chuck Richardson and Santino Corleone. Now first with Chuck Richardson, he's here to speak to us about the Lenny Cook documentary, which he helped bring to Cincinnati. So you might ask, who's Lenny Cook? And that's the wild thing about this story is a lot of people say, who's Lenny Cook? You've heard of Carmelo Anthony. You heard of LeBron James. Well, Lenny Cook was just as good at one stage in his life as those two guys. Matter of fact, he was ranked the number 4 best player in the country. So you've got Carmelo, LeBron, Lenny. Why did Carmelo make it? Why did LeBron make it? And how come Lenny Cook did not make it to the NBA? Well, sometimes what you see in basketball and other sports, folks start believing their own hype. They stop listening to the right people. And sometimes they get people around them that don't have their best interest. And that's what happened to Lenny Cook. And it's a great documentary for our young people to watch. You take guys like Bill Russell, who won 11 championships, Michael Jordan, who won 6 championships. These guys were never satisfied at any point with their success. They wanted more. At one point, Michael Jordan was told he could not play defense. He comes out and he wins the 1988 Defensive Player of the Year, and then he goes on to win 9 straight defensive first team All-NBA. And also, they told Michael Jordan he couldn't shoot three-pointers. What's he do the following year? He comes out and breaks an NBA record, a finals record, and makes 6 three-pointers in 1 half. Now this Lenny Cook story is an interesting one and great for our kids to hear about. So enjoy the interview with Chuck Richardson.
Lenny Cook.
Lenny Cook.
Lenny Cook. By 2001, Cook had played just 4 years of organized ball, but still, he entered his senior year rated among the top high school players in the country, along with Amari Stoudemire, Carmelo Anthony, and LeBron James.
Welcome back to Center Court. I'm your host, Alex Meacham. I'd like to introduce our first guest for today, my man.
What's up, man?
Chuck Richardson.
How you?
Good. How you been?
I'm chilling, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man.
Why don't you tell everybody here in the audience a little bit about yourself, what you've got going on, and why we have you here on the show today.
All right, my name is Chuck Richardson. You name it, I got it going on. I'm currently a grad student over at Xavier. Sport administration.
Xavier. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I understand, man. I understand. I'm a UD fan. I grew up rooting for UC too, so you know, it's a compromise.
We're cool.
But grad student at Xavier, trying to get 2 master's degrees, sport administration and human resource development. Also got my hands in a bunch of other projects, sport related as well. So that's why I'm here today.
Nice. Now, what high school did you go to?
I went to Dayton Dunbar up in Dayton, Ohio. As I like to say, Paul Lawrence Dunbar, but yeah, that's
there
what it's called.
They've got a pretty rich tradition in basketball.
Oh yeah,
right?
oh yeah,
They're always pretty good.
Oh yeah, so.
Yeah, now tell us a little bit about the project you've got going on.
Okay.
Local Legends basketball game. Why don't you start with that?
All right, well, the Local Legends basketball game, something we came up with about 2 years ago. Got some buddies that play in the NBA that went to Dayton Dunbar, Daquan Cook and Norris Cole. It was supposed to be a class reunion fundraiser and something to help Daquan scholarship fundraiser. We dropped the class reunion fundraiser this past year, and now we're just making all about Daquan and his scholarship foundation. So we got that, and then on top of that, we got the Lenny Cook documentary, which we brought to Cincinnati in December.
Well, let's go back to the actual game and how now that was something you started.
Yeah, it was something I started
on your own. And how'd you connect up with Daquan?
Okay, well, me and Daquan went to school together. We were about 3 years apart. When I was a senior, he was a freshman. And then one of his best friends, his dad was my football coach. So he was always around the program, and we went to elementary school, his best friend and I, and we just been pretty cool from there. So then when it was time to come with Daquan, he always wants to get back to the city. So I had that idea, and he was just receptive to it. And from then on, we just made some phone calls, made a list of guys that we thought the fans might want to see, and now we're here.
Now, did you play basketball in high
I didn't
school?
play basketball. I'm just a big fan of the game. So no, didn't play basketball, but love to watch it though.
Okay, cool. So now when is the game? Did it already happen? Is it going to happen again?
Oh yeah, the game's going to happen again. The game was in August of this past year, August 10th. And then in 2012 we had it in August as well. So it looks like we're going to have it annually in August with the schedules and such.
And where are you going to do it?
We're going to do it back at Dunbar. First year we did it at Stivers High School because Dunbar was being used that day. But we keep it in the city and we keep it at Dunbar.
Okay. Now tell us a little bit about the Lenny Cook documentary. Okay. And you and I, we exchanged some contact on Twitter initially. Exactly. And then I saw you at the Crosstown Shootout.
Yep.
It didn't go well for UC, but we're going to get Xavier next year. And you invited me out to see the initial screening
of the Lenny Cook story. And can you tell us how you got involved with that? And I think we'll get into the details of the documentary. I thought it was well done. So just tell a little bit about that.
To be perfectly honest with you, it started with a group chat conversation, group me with some friends of mine. We call ourselves the Chain Gang. We're all big sports fans. We talk, and we're about that age of Lenny Cook, so we knew who Lenny Cook was and we knew what the legend was. So what we did, we started talking about it, and then the light bulb went off. It hasn't been a 30 for 30. It hasn't been on PBS or anything like that. So I did some research. Partnered with the company by the name of Tug, who has the movies, and I pretty much sent out a filler out there. A filler email says, we're interested in bringing it to Cincinnati. Would you be willing to help us out? They talked to the Lenny Cook people, and a couple emails later, they said we got it, and then from then on, it was just a full court press on selling tickets and bringing the movie here.
Nice, and then you partnered up in conjunction with a good friend of mine, Matt Michael, who is owner of Corporate, a sneaker and clothing boutique in Hyde Park. Tell us what was going on with that connection.
Same thing. Well, Matt has the same vision I do. He's a big community guy, and we're also into sneakers. So he's always told me about this.
Hey, I am too. Sorry.
So I've heard. But he's always told me about the nonprofit that he wanted to start called Bigger Than Sneakers. And then the light bulb went off because with the local Legends game, it's bigger than basketball, it's bigger than sneakers. And I understand Matt's presence in the city. So came up and talked to Matt about it. He was receptive. And then from then on, it was a go.
So tell us a little bit about the Lenny Cook story, because a lot of our audience being high school basketball players and aspiring college players, I think the documentary is something that our generation of kids need to understand and need to know about, because from what I gathered from the documentary and my research, Lenny Cook was on track to be as popular and a big a star as a LeBron, as a Carmelo, who were featured in the documentary.
Yep.
So
He was the #1 prospect in the country in the year 2002, which was going to be his high school class. And as far as the kids go, pretty much lets kids know just keep working hard. Lenny Cook, he was a hard worker to an extent, but he also had some bouts of immaturity, which we're seeing in the movie. So because he was immature, didn't want to work hard, he kind of fell by the wayside, started listening to the wrong people, and didn't really materialize. He didn't go to the NBA, unfortunately, and now he's living in rural Virginia.
And so when the documentary, they filmed him from the age,
I think about 16.
16 all the way through. So I mean, if you really think about it, you have to be pretty good if somebody's going to start documenting your process at age 16 all the way through. And where do you think, I know you said there were some people in his ear that probably shouldn't have been, but I mean, do you think that's the major downfall of Lenny Cook? I
think so. He started just believing up in his own hype. So.
Don't rely on basketball for your happiness, because it's not going to happen.
When you want to play me?
I'm going to play you in various ways.
Yeah, I think that hurt him a lot. And then going back to the movie, it makes me respect LeBron James a lot more. I'm a big Kobe fan, and I found every reason in the world to hate LeBron on the court. Off the court, I think he's a good guy, but on the court, I found every reason to hate him. But when you watch stuff like this and you see how LeBron had a good team around him, a good support system, it makes you respect him more, because he could have went on the same path. He was in Sports Illustrated as a 16-year-old junior as well. He was all over the place, all over Ohio, and even all over the country. But he stayed humble, he stayed grounded, and he kept working at his goals.
And so for most kids out there that, we're in a generation right now where with Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all these social media things, kids get hyped so easily.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, people can post stuff about themselves on, like, let's say Twitter, for example, and it could get retweeted 200 times, and that person all of a sudden is famous.
Yep.
And they can get caught up in a lot of things. What would be your advice to high school basketball players or just high school kids in general right now who are, trying to stay on track, trying to reach the college level? Because Lenny didn't go to college.
No,
correct?
He didn't go to college.
He went straight out of high school because he couldn't play his senior year, correct?
Right, he couldn't play his senior year. Unfortunately, in the state of New Jersey, they have a rule that if you turn 19 before a certain date, you can't play. And that's what happened to Lenny. So he went to prep school, didn't do what he's supposed to do at prep school. He had a goal, like you said, like we saw in the movie, he had a goal to just work out and just keep going at it, but just didn't do it. But as far as kids now, like I was told growing up, don't read your own press clippings.
His dreams of making it to the NBA has yet to materialize.
He just never went back to school. Cut. I said, you're ruining your life.
But his mindset wasn't about getting better. He just got caught up.
I'm in the club last night, 4:30 in the morning, and Lenny strolls right on by.
Either you can be a man with some responsibility, or you can act like a child.
That's the worst thing that you can do. Keep working hard, keep being dedicated to your craft, because the hard work and dedication does pay off at the end.
What was your favorite part of the documentary?
Favorite part of the documentary, I had a couple. I would say one is
Don't
when,
steal mine though.
no,
you know which one I'm going to say.
I know which one
Okay.
you're gonna say. The one part that got me is when they was talking about how good LeBron and Carmelo were at ABCD camp, and all his friends kept saying, and people around him was like, "Oh, you know about LeBron, you know about Carmelo, they nice." And if you know about New Yorkers and even people growing up when we grew up, when you said somebody was nice, they were really, really good.
Right.
So with those two guys, they nice, and Lenny just kept downplaying like, yeah, all right, and like as he was watching their games, like. And I just thought that was so funny because these guys were out there killing.
Yeah.
And Lenny just kept downplaying, like, yeah, all right.
Yeah. Well, LeBron's okay. That was really interesting, though, to watch LeBron at that stage back then. And even Carmelo had the long braids. And he came and sat with Lenny.
That was my second favorite part of the movie. When they were in Vegas.
Yeah.
And he called him over, Melo, come over here, Melo. That's how he talked, Melo. And he sat down and talked to him like he tried to pretty much big time Carmelo. Carmelo came over like a little kid, like, yeah, I just played. What did I do? And then after he left, like, yeah, I still busted him at the ABCD camp, though. I just thought that was so funny.
And that's funny because when Carmelo came and sat down, you said he kind of big timed him. Yeah. If you remember towards the end of the documentary, Lenny was at one of Melo's NBA games. Yeah. And came and talked to him. And, and Melo's kind of like, man, this guy was supposed to make it. Right. But he didn't. Right. So that was well done.
It was.
And my favorite part, you know, and I told you this before we stepped in here, my favorite part of the documentary was, you know, with Lenny Cook coming from a background where he really didn't have much and then gaining all this success, you know, money and fame, and then with him not listening to the right people and falling off, he ended up in Virginia, not living in, you know, a place he should be living. He should, you know, be in the NBA. Kind of went that full circle, as we talked about. And he was in his house in Virginia, and it was his birthday. How old was he?
30th birthday.
30th birthday party.
Milestone birthday, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's sitting with his family, and he starts singing a song that they were playing, and everybody was dancing, and it was by Mario. And he knew every single word. He knew every word of that song. And it was kind of sad. And it was sad because when you watch it, you're like, he shouldn't be in that house at a birthday party like that singing. He should be playing NBA bad. And I'm not sure if that's what they were trying to do with that. Right. But I thought that was one of my favorite.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's a good. To me, like we talked about, it was the full circle moment.
Yeah.
Even with the meeting Melo and Amari at the guard, because Amari didn't recognize him at first.
Right.
Yeah. He's like, oh, that's Lenny Cook. And then,
Joe Kim Noah was like,
yeah,
because he gained a lot of weight.
Yeah, he gained a lot of weight. So like I think everything just went full circle in the movie, and that was the beauty of it all. Like the guys who did the documentary did a great job.
I agree with you, and I want to tell you that just you know, getting to know you from the Lenny Cook story and then following a little bit about what you're doing, I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
You're surrounding yourself with good people.
Thank you.
And I appreciate what you're trying to do for our community as well.
Thank you.
So what I want to do is I want you to get you to sign this basketball.
No problem.
Like everybody else.
Okay.
And then I've got to ask you the Jay-Z question.
All right.
All right, everybody knows I'm a big Jay-Z fan, so you're a big Jay-Z fan?
Absolutely.
What's your favorite album?
Favorite album? I just had this discussion with friends, but The Blueprint, easy.
Blueprint. It's my favorite album.
Easy.
You're the first person to come on and say that.
Yeah.
Now, what's your favorite song off The Blueprint?
Favorite song? Probably You Don't Know.
Yeah.
You Don't Know. Like I love to go see Hov live, and every time I see Hov live, like he kills it.
He does.
Yeah.
He's my favorite too. That's my favorite album. So, hey, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
No problem.
And appreciate all you're doing in the community.
All right. Thank you.
And so I want everybody to make sure you check out the Lenny Cook documentary, and we'll have more information on what Chuck's doing in the future, any projects he's bringing to our community. So thank you for watching Center Court.
Now my next guest is Santino Corleone. So you might ask yourself, why do you have a hip-hop recording artist on your show? Well, Santino's from Cincinnati, Ohio. And the cool thing about hip-hop music right now in basketball is the two have a lot of synergy. You know, there's a saying in hip-hop music that ballers want to be rappers and rappers want to be ballers. And it's very, very true. You see a lot of basketball players in the NBA that come out with hip-hop albums. And you see a lot of these hip-hop artists that are always talking about basketball. And matter of fact, Master P tried to make it in the NBA. I think he had a short stint with the Charlotte Hornets, but I don't know how that worked out. But anyway, so what we want to do with Santino is talk a little bit about, you know, his story and how he got involved with hip-hop and where he is today. And, you know, I go to a lot of high school basketball games. You know, I go to an Indian Hill game or Woodward High School game or Walnut Hills game. And it doesn't matter which gym or which school I'm at. You hear hip-hop music in the introductions, in their warm-ups. It's their pump-up music. So there's synergy between the two. And that's why we have Santino on today. And matter of fact, next season's show, Santino is going to do our theme song. So he's going to add some lyrics to the current beat that we have as our introduction to our show. So enjoy the interview with Santino.
This is Alex Meacham with Center Court, and I'm here with hometown recording artist Santino Corleone. Santino, what's up, man?
What's up? How you doing?
Good. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Name's Santino Corleone from Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm a recording artist here. That's pretty much about it, man.
That's it?
Yeah, I mean.
You good?
Yeah. Go listen. No.
Tell everybody about the mixtape here real quick.
Our latest mixtape we just dropped, actually, it's called Keep the Change. You can get that at my website is santinocorleone.com. We got it on NetPiff, Audio, what's the Audio Mac, I think. My Twitter, Instagram, like, pretty heavy on the internet, as you know, so.
Right, what's your Twitter?
My
Instagram?
Twitter handle is Santino Corleone as well. It's Santino Corleone. So sometimes people spell it with the E, but we don't spell it with the E, so.
That's what's
just
up.
so you know.
Now tell us a little bit about your story, how you got into music and your hometown kid. Just give everybody a little bit of a backdrop.
I was 19 years old. It was 8 days after the World Trade Center attack. I moved to New York City. I had $90 in my pocket. I went to go to Institute of Audio Research in Manhattan. I did 6 months at that school. Then I was actually staying in some student housing in Brooklyn at the time, and I was only paid up for 3 months. So around the 3-month time period, I was like venturing off into the projects that were next door for undisclosed reasons. But I met a girl there, and her mom wound up taking me in and stuff. And so I wound up staying there for a while, come back home, then I go back to school in Brooklyn, Long Island University. I was a little wilder back then in those days, so I wound up getting kicked out of that school, and then I stayed in New York for years after that, just kicking it, I wouldn't say kicking it, but learning the craft of, songwriting and rapping through a lot of Brooklyn artists and stuff like that. So kind of got into the battle scene that way. I battled on Big East Stoop in front of Beach Street, on Fulton Street in Brooklyn, 125th Street, like you name it. So then I wind up kind of getting into a party crowd, kind of getting into some trouble coming back home. And then I actually met one of my managers, Mike, at Seven Fest, I think it was, in Athens, Ohio, and it's kind of been a wrap ever since then. So one day at a time, man. It's a grind.
Sure. And so where are you at right now with the stage of your career?
Right now we are really pushing the region hard and trying to get this thing, off the ground nationally. Locally, we've been really successful. I've dropped, I think, probably 4 projects in the last 2 to 3 years. We've done countless amount of shows. I was actually a roadie, if you will, for Mac Miller for a while, for a few tours as he was coming up on. We also do work with Out of Sight, who's a New York recording artist as well, and I've been touring with him and stuff like that. So we're just dropping videos and building the brand and the fan base one day at a time,
Now, I saw a picture on Instagram, and you took a picture with one of my favorite people in the music business, and that's Puff Daddy, right. P. Diddy, Sean Combs, whatever you want to call him. You took a selfie with him.
Yes, a selfie with Diddy.
Right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a funny story. We were at a Rubber Track Studio in Brooklyn.
Is that the Converse?
Yeah, Converse Rubber Track Studio. It's actually a little bit about them. They are a studio that was built in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, where you can actually record for free, and it's so the waiting list is crazy to even get on it. But my other manager Dre had us we were at a party there a few weeks before. And it was a Converse party. It was for Fader Ford, actually, which is a big music magazine. And so we're in this party, and I'm in this back room somewhere, and I don't remember what I was doing because I was drinking. I was at a party or whatever, and I literally come out the room, and Diddy's standing right there, and I'm like, oh, and then another story, we were in Texas, and I met Diddy for the first time, and I held my hand out, and he didn't shake it. So I always told my friends, yo, next time I see Diddy, he's going to know us. So, this time I was I have to get this picture. So, we're sitting there kicking, and I told Diddy, I said, yo, I met you in Texas, but you didn't shake my hand. And he's like, oh, you want to try it again? So, me being the man, I'm like, nah, I'm cool. So just joking around with him, so he laughs. I'm like, nah, I'm for real. So he takes a picture with me, so. selfies with Diddy.
So he was pretty cool?
Yeah, he was cool. He was they were promoting on the Revolt TV that they got going on. Yeah,
so now when you meet someone like Diddy, who obviously is one of the most powerful guys in the hip hop music business, correct? And with you being an artist, an up and coming artist, what's the fine line between, hey Diddy, can I take a picture with you, and hey Diddy, here's keep the change?
You just gotta know. You gotta know when and where to do things. You know what I mean? And it was a party environment, so you can get. When I first met Diddy, it was more he was getting mobbed at the time. So if I'm just the guy holding out his hand, you know what I'm saying? This time was more party environment. I'm not even gonna bring up music to Diddy. I'm just gonna say, hey, take this picture. How you doing? I'm a big fan.
And it's like, because you might not see him.
Right.
Again, so you've got to take advantage of that opportunity then and there. So
that's what I mean. We ran into him technically 3 times last year alone, twice in Texas, because the first time we meet him, he doesn't shake our hand. 20 minutes later in Austin, Texas, we run into him around the corner. You remember this? And he's outside a restaurant with Cassie, his girl, and me and Mike jump out the car to try to get a picture with him, but our friend who was driving the car pulls farther past, so I don't want to do a beeline for Puff. And the only people on the street is me, Mike, Puff, and Cassie, and their bodyguards. So it's like, I don't want to make this awkward, so I'm just going to hit it, hey, Puff, how you doing? And that was it. And then months later, I get the selfie in Brooklyn. So it's like, it all kind of came around full circle, so it's cool.
So, and one of the things that I've done is I reached out to Santino, because this being a hometown show, I wanted to get some hometown flavor. And when we got together and put the beat for this song, for the theme song for our show, I wanted to add some lyrics to it at some point, and that's when I reached out to you. Right. And so what's the process you go through when someone might approach you about doing a song, or you're creating a song? Do you create, I know people are different, I know Biggie and Jay, I've always heard about their creative process, but when you create a song, I know you probably do different things, but do you write the song first, then apply the beat? Do you listen to the beat? But what do you feel most comfortable doing?
Nowadays, I haven't written a song down technically in 6 years. Like, I kind of take the Biggie and Jay approach. One of my real good friends, I was doing that a long time ago. He's actually from Brooklyn too, and that's like back in my days where I'm just kind of studying these guys. But I just learned that, I'd never read off paper, because when I wrote stuff, by the time I got it done, it was already memorized. So I never really technically read anything off paper. Like, that's kind of a pet peeve. Like, I can hear some other rappers like, oh, he's reading. You know what I mean? But so it just turned into the process of line for line. I just got to memorize one, which is actually a process that I took from high school, from memorizing vocab test words the class before the test. Right. So I would literally kind of make a rhythmic pattern and go memorize first line. You go to the second line. You go back to the first. So you just jump, you know what I mean? So if I get the first line memorized, I'll go to the second one, memorize that one, go back to the first, third, back to the first, fourth, back to the first, and continue. And by the end of that process, I got a verse. So I mean, in particular with this one and listening to the track, you don't want to. It's certain, like I want to. This goes out to a lot of up and coming artists. Like, you got to know when to do certain type of music and when not to do certain type of music. So if you get approached by an Alex Meacham and doing a theme song such as this one, you obviously want to have it has to pertain to what you're doing, which is sports here. So, I always kind of tag myself as the underdog. So that's kind of feeling I get with that particular track. Like, this is like the show rooting for the underdogs, you know what I mean? Like, and just showcasing, your sports talent or whatever, so to speak.
I grew up listening to hip hop, and most of our audience knows I'm a big Jay-Z fan and always have been. So do you think, just based on looking at my picture from when I played, that, with the beard, you think I could have been a good, rapper if I would have gone that? What do you think?
That's Riff Raff before Riff Raff, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are familiar with Riff Raff.
I hope they don't know.
Jody High Roller. But that's definitely, I get Riff Raff, and like I told you before, he got kicked out of NSYNC, and that's how he walked on to UC. So that's the real story behind it.
I wish I was in NSYNC.
Yeah, a lot more money, right?
So one thing that I definitely want to do today is one of our folks on the staff here on the studio with Center Court is Jordan. And Jordan, come here for 1 second, just so people can see you. But later on, Jordan, what's your rap name, Jordan?
Whippersnapper the Rapper. Whippersnapper the Rapper.
I can't even say it. Whippersnapper the Rapper.
Whippersnapper the Rapper.
He wants to battle you.
Okay.
So when we finish up, we're gonna go outside and we're gonna have a little battle with you.
I'm
are
with
you,
that.
You with that?
Whippersnapper the Rapper. Yeah, I think we can handle that guy.
Okay, you be ready for that. So one of the guys you mentioned earlier, Mike Martin, who you met here in town, and one of the things about Mike is when I first got involved with starting my AU program, Shining Star, one of Mike's best friends, Robbie Noshang, was a part of our AU program, and Mike kind of came around to our games, helped out a lot, and now he's helping out
the man, bro.
You and managing you. Mike, you want to?
Come in, Mike. You don't. Mike never gets camera time, honestly.
Come here, Mike.
Mike, you will see Mike scattered in videos here and there. So if you guys watch the videos, and this is Mike.
Mike, you gonna say hi to everybody?
How you guys doing? You gotta get in the picture, Mike.
You gotta like a selfie with Diddy.
Selfie with Diddy.
You gotta do that. Yep. So one of the things we always end the show with is I want you to sign the basketball. Okay. Now I know you're not a basketball player. Okay.
Nah,
maybe.
don't get me. No. My Finneytown friends, it's an ongoing joke on how horrible I am at basketball.
They know?
Yeah, they know.
Well, let me give you the basketball here. I'd like for you to sign it here.
This is probably something I'll probably never have to do again in life. I don't know.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
I'm sure Jay-Z's been at Brooklyn Nets games.
Well, he also has a lot to do more with the Nets.
Sure.
You know, we don't even have
You never know. You might own a team.
You never know. We can bring the Royals back.
Let's do it.
I could be the one. Oops, I can't even hold the pen. See, I don't write. I'm freestyling. I'm a freestyle autograph the ball.
So one of the things we were talking about Jay-Z, real quick, I always ask our guests a Jay-Z question. So what, right now, I know there's a lot, you're a big Jay-Z fan as well.
Huge.
We've talked about that a lot. He's one of the few guys that can go toe-to-toe with me as far as Jay-Z lyrics.
Bar for bar.
Yeah.
Since I was 12 years old.
So what's your favorite Jay-Z song?
I was telling you today, I actually have Magna Carta Holy Grail in the car right now. I was listening to Crown today, and you were explaining to me that a 16-year-old girl produced that, which was the first time I heard that, so that's pretty dope. So probably be listening to that for next week, like trying to get a hold of that 16-year-old girl.
Right.
I need wait, that sounded funny, but no, yeah, I need the beat.
For the beat.
For the music beat.
Right.
There we go.
So we want to thank Santino for coming on the show. Now later on, you will see a rap battle between Santino and Whippersnapper the Rapper.
Bars.
And then also, soon you will be hearing Santino on our intro for Center Court. So everybody stay tuned. We'll be back.
Well, my name's Santino Corleone. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. Recording artist.
Yes, we have to start one more time.
Okay.
Okay.
That was just a warm-up, Nikki.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
Technical difficulty. It's not you, it's you.
Okay.
All right. We're good?
It's not you, it's me.
That's a
Story of my life, Nikki.
Okay, this is going to be a letter. Stand by.
Breaking my heart.